In my Island Update for this week, we're going to be taking a look back at travel chaos for passengers from the United Kingdom flying to European airports this summer. I'm also going to break down the video as well, which I made just a couple of weeks ago about flying from Palma Airport from over here in Mallorca back to the United Kingdom as well. We're going to take a look at what happened there. I'm also going to talk about how you can best prepare for your journey as well, regardless as to which airport you're flying from in Europe. If you're flying back to the UK, I've got a very important message for you, but also I've got some good news for you from over here in Mallorca. We're going to take a walk out through the arrivals lounge. I've got some good news regarding airport buses, plus we're going to take a look at the all-important weather forecast for the week ahead. And I'm going to have to say, just looking out the window here today on a Monday morning, it's not looking great at the moment. But anyway, let's return to look at the airport video which I made from over here in Palma Airport just a couple of weeks ago. So the first thing I'm going to say is, if you are flying this summer, just make sure that you download into your smartphone either the low-cost airline or your tour operator app, because if there are any problems with your flight, they will send you a message updating you with any issues with your flight. And I received a message 48 hours before flying to the United Kingdom, before our flight just a couple of weeks ago from EasyJet, and they said, please allow extra time when passing through passport control for your flight. We advise heading to the departure gate as soon as possible to avoid disruption. This is due to the long queues expected at passport control. Now, bearing in mind we didn't have any check-in luggage, we arrived about an hour and a half before our flight. Should we have had check-in luggage, we would have got here about 2 hours before our flight. So if you allow that kind of like half an hour time period for queuing up and checking in your bags, we pretty much got here on time, so we weren't late by any means. And in fact, as we arrived into the airport, there was no information on the information boards that there were queues at border control. When we came through the security checkpoint, there was also no gate number and also no information on that board regarding queues at border control either. Now, you would have then gone on to see in my video, as well, as we made our way through Terminal or Module C over towards border control, we passed through the duty-free area, we passed through the cafe area. Now, luckily on that particular day, we decided not to stop off for a coffee. We normally do actually, but on that particular day we didn't, because it was just as well, because as we came around the corner, we then met the huge queues at border control. And if you watch that video, it was hit and miss as to whether we were going to get our flight on that particular day. Now, here lies our problem, because with the lack of information on entering Palma Airport, on the lack of information after clearing security, we didn't know that those massively huge queues were going to be waiting for us as we went around the corner towards Terminal C. So at this point, unless I can get a complete guarantee from the airport that there are going to be no queues or delays or any kind of understaffing at border control, my first piece of advice is, do not stop and do not shop if you are travelling through Palma Airport this summer until you get through to Terminal A, which is going to be the new departure point for flights going out to the UK. The same applies as well before we get into the summer season, before Terminal A opens. If you're going through Terminal C, do not stop and do not shop. Make your way through security and get yourselves over to border control, clear border control, and then you can kind of sit and relax and just wait for your flight. Now, there are no cafes or shops on the other side of border control in Terminal C over the winter months. They do have some coin-operated machines. You can get a bottle of water, or you can get a soft drink from there, but there are no shops on the other side of border control. So if you are travelling with a family, make sure you're taking plenty of food with you, but you can get drinks on the other side. So we saw only 2 police checking passports in the British passport queue over at border control. European passports were also being checked. European and other passports were also being checked. And I just want to make the point as well that passengers or groups of passengers were being separated by passports. So if you're travelling with a group that maybe had, say, an Irish or a European passport, they would go off into one queue. British passport holders had to go off into another queue. And you may remember in that video as well that I did speak to a lady on the flight who had a British passport, but her sons had Spanish passports, and they did try and separate her from her children as well, which was absolutely crazy. So just bearing this in mind if you're travelling, if you do carry a different passport to either your partner or your spouse or any family member, you may well get separated. So if you're wondering if any of the other passengers in that queue missed their flight, well, I did have a message from a viewer, and she said, "We were on the Liverpool flight due out 10 minutes after yours that same day. We were further back in the queue and concerned about missing our flight. Fortunately, they did call for all Liverpool passengers to go to the front and were all processed before the rest of the queue. Some of them were not happy about this. There were 4 booths on by then as well. It was a very stressful time. We did get to the airport in plenty of time, but couldn't check in hold luggage till 2 hours before. We did try, but they turned us away as expected." So there's no point even getting to the airport any earlier. If you've got hold luggage, you can't check in any earlier. You've got this 2 hours time period to get yourself checked in and through security and then through border control. So you could well get caught up in those queues if you're travelling with hold luggage, which of course many of you are going to be doing this summer. On that same day of flying as well, it wasn't just Bristol and Liverpool flights that were going to the United Kingdom from this far end of Terminal C. It was also Birmingham, Gatwick, Stansted and Manchester. It was 4 flights travelling within a 1 hour time period. And if you bear in mind there are approximately, say, around 300 people per flight, that's potentially processing 1,800 passengers in that hour with just like two people sitting on the desk, which is just absolutely crazy. It's crazy. And I'm guessing here as well, you know, call me out if I'm wrong, but this is going to put off a lot of older passengers who are flying, and older passengers are more likely to be staying in the hotels over here in Mallorca. We're going to potentially have a holiday crisis over here. If this is going to put off a lot of our elderly visitors coming over, staying in the hotels, I doubt if it's going to put off any younger groups travelling who are probably more likely to be staying in the illegal Airbnbs. So really this needs sorting out as soon as possible to make sure that we have this seamless journey through the airports this summer. So I'm going to say that if you do have mobility issues getting through the airport, I would recommend booking special assistance. I'm also going to say though, if you don't need special assistance, if you don't have mobility issues, please don't book it. Do not abuse that system, because I did see the special assistance little wagons coming through and bringing through elderly passengers and getting them to the front of the queue and getting them processed quite quickly. If you don't need that service, please don't use it. It's already creaking at the seams, and you'll know as well from my previous videos that I'm trying to get an update about special assistance this summer to hopefully see if it's being run a little bit more efficiently than it was being run last year too. Okay, so I read many of your comments on the channel as well following that flight video about the lack of staffing on border control. But I just want to look at it from a purely practical issue. And well, there wouldn't be a border control if it wasn't for Brexit. And I hate to bring that B word up again, but there never used to be a border control of flying back to the United Kingdom. You could just walk through the airport in the same way as you travel to Europe from here in Palma and just jump onto your flight. So of course, if these police booths are understaffed, and like I've said as well, and I said it in my last video, border control is not run by the airport, it's actually run by the police over here in Spain. So if they have staffing issues, maybe it's because they just do not have enough staff to police these borders. And of course, having these staff, it comes at a cost. So I've got no idea what the funding is like for the police over here in Spain or for border control either. But don't forget that Brexit has come at a huge cost. And it's not just in terms of staffing, in terms of the police at border control. We're talking about the entry and exit system, which is soon going to be coming into place. We've seen the machines over in the arrivals and departure area in Palma Airport. They've come at a cost. Millions of euros have been ploughed into buying machines which will soon automatically register arrivals and departures of non-EU nationals in and out of Europe. And this is going to probably replace some of the staffing or the border control issues. Also bearing in mind as well that when the EES is being implemented, the families travelling will probably have to go through a manual police check anyway as well. So like I said, Brexit has come at a price. And it seems too that the United Kingdom have actually beaten the European Union to adding this extra level onto the whole travel experience by implementing the electronic travel authorisation, which is now needed for any non-EU or Irish nationals travelling to the United Kingdom. Now this is coming into force in April. You can already apply for it just on the off chance you are going to the UK and you don't have a British passport. You are going to now need this ETA, which comes at a cost of, I think it's about £10, and it allows multiple trips to and from the UK. The same is going to come into force for any non-Europeans travelling into Europe in the form of the ETIAS visa waiver. There is no date for that at time of recording. As soon as I get notification of that, I will let you know. So consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already to get the latest about travelling to Europe this summer. Now, I just also want to make the point as well that if you are travelling to Spain or you're travelling from Spain, you're not always going to meet queues at passport security. But at the same time as well, there were some bad experiences recorded last summer. Gareth commented, in August last year, the queues were horrendous at passport control. We're going to give Spain a miss this year, no need for this nonsense. Now, just bearing in mind as well, Gareth, it's not just Spain that's experiencing this. If you go back and check out the comments from my previous video, you will see that queues happened in Austria, in Malta, in France, in the Canary Islands, in mainland Spain, everywhere else throughout Europe too. Also, you're getting queues over in America as well. If you're going to Orlando, I was caught up in horrendous queues in about a 3-hour queue 5 or 6 years ago, no, maybe 7 years ago. I swore I wouldn't go back either, but somehow people always go back. Also, as well, I had a comment from Michael Smith. He says, we went to Palma last June, just before the school holidays, and the family queue was awful. Nearly, if not over an hour to get our passports stamped. 100% due to Brexit, such a waste of time. I also have a comment here from L. Jacobs who said, you elected to leave the EU, so you pay the price. But Tom Bartram comments, this is like your ex letting your tyres down, then it's your fault for leaving. Spain can jog on, pound shop Italy. Anyway, on that note, you can hear we've got renovations happening over here on the far side of the departures lounge in Palma Airport. We're going to pick up the camera. Let's take a walk through the airport. We're going to check out the departure board today, but I've got some good news for you. We're going to head on down to arrivals. I've got news about the airport buses starting from over here in Palma Airport. It's going out directly to the resort, so let's go and check it out. So I'm just looking up at the departures board here and we can see, well, pretty much everything looks like it's running on time, but we can see a number of cancellations. And this is because, and I'm just having a quick look online here, apparently there is a strike from the Verdi union and it's caused basically Europe-wide cancellations on the following airlines: on Eurowings, on BA, on EasyJet, on Ryanair and on Lufthansa. I don't know how long this strike is going on for, so if you are travelling in the next couple of days, make sure you check with your airline before travelling, but like I said, I can see a few cancellations. Anyway, let's head on down now into arrivals. Let's go and check out those airport buses. Okay, so we're just coming into the arrivals area here, just beyond the luggage pickup area, and we're heading out towards the taxis. Let's go and check out the direct buses over to the resorts. I'm going to show you where to go and pick them up too. So coming out from arrivals to my right hand side, you can see the taxi rank. You can see the sheer number of taxis that we've got waiting for passengers today. Can't believe it, it's also raining as well. You can see why I didn't do this island update outside today. The weather's absolutely horrible. So as you walk to the end, you can see to my left hand side here, we've got the blue and green EMT buses. But it's this A1 bus that you need if you want to head on into Palma city centre. You can change at the TIB bus station on Plaza España for all other destinations on the island. But to the right of the taxi rank here, you're going to find the direct buses which will be heading down to the resorts. You can see here, the very first stop here is the A11. That goes down towards Palma, Magaluf, Santa Ponsa and Peguera, and Puerto Portals too. And you're going to find that the stops for everywhere else in the island a little bit further on. Okay, so also to the right of the taxi stand, right next to the A11 bus stop, we've got the bus stop for the A32 buses. And from the 15th of March, these will be running directly to Alcudia, Playa de Moro and Can Picafor. To get to Poyensa, you're going to have to change at Inca, but at least from the 15th of March, you're going to be able to get directly to those resorts. From the 1st of April, we're going to be seeing the A51 going to Campos, which you can then change onto the 515, which will take you down to Calador. And also, as well, we're going to soon see the start of the A42 over towards Porto Cristo, Siliot-Sacoma, Calamilor and Calabona. I don't have the start date for that particular bus just yet. Okay, so before we leave the airport today, I'm just going to give you a very quick look at the weather forecast for the week ahead. It's currently horrible and it's raining. What can I say? The best day this week is looking like Wednesday, when we're going to have a higher chance of seeing the sun shine. Saying that though, the sun is coming out from time to time. We are getting a highs of 18, we're getting lows of 8. We've got thunderstorm warnings as well. They've been flashing up on my phone all morning. So the good news is that it's also looking like it could well brighten up as we roll on towards next weekend. But expect rain this week, expect showers. It's also a little bit chilly. If you're packing to come over, bring plenty of layers and don't forget your brolly or raincoat. Okay everyone, I hope this video proves useful if you're travelling through the airport this summer. I'm going to have plenty more airport updates for you too. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, and don't forget you can find me on the Facebook group and on my Instagram, also called Mallorca Under the Sun, and I'll drop a couple of videos both here and here on YouTube for you to check out to help you out with your journey. Thanks very much for watching everyone, and I shall see you on the next video. Goodbye for now.